Welcome, ladies, to Thomas's Reading Room. We're starting again on February 8th with Through the Eye, 2-year travel adventure story through America. Let's get going. 8th of February, Saturday. Awake early to a new day, absent of any thought whatsoever. The weather seems cold, perhaps to the point of freezing. I crawl from the sleeping bag, dress, and go over to Howard. Unlocking the door, I get in, start the engine, and start the heater. Susan is up and begins to remove bedding from the tent. Leaving Howard with the engine operating at idle speed, Susan and I bring the tent down, fold it, and put the bedding and tent away. We get inside Howard, and I drive us to a post office close to the area we will be working from. Unfortunately, the post office is not open on Saturdays. As we go out the drive, I stop a postal carrier who drives the Jeep. I ask, should this post office take general delivery, and if so, what is the correct zip code? He tells us that they take general delivery and gives us the requested information. I thank him, then drive us to the university. I park Howard, we get out and walk to the library. Thomas looks over the material one final time as I practice typing before I commence. After I finish typing the 9 numbers on the current calendar, we leave the library en route to Old Tucson. We investigate the park and swap market to see whether it will be an advantage to rent a space there. The area seems somewhat run down and occupied with less fortunate people. After we observe the market area, Thomas and I agree it will not be an advantage for us to set up here. Thomas drives us to a printer to have copies made of the 9 numbers. Using the bright astral colors and a different color for each number, we have 10 copies made of each. The investment so far is $9.56 for the program. Susan and I are hungry by now, so I drive us to a park where we can prepare something to eat. The sky is overcast, rain is everywhere, and the weather is cold. I think of what we will go through to get the supplies from the top of Howard, standing outside in the rain, so we will wait longer before we eat. I move outside the self and observe that I am depressed. The resistance maintained by me against not carrying out what I have set out to do is weakening by every minute. I have entertained thoughts of phoning Pop's father, who I know is concerned, so I might as well do that now. Pops has been a #1 star to me, always right there, doing what he thinks he should do for a son. I recall when I was chronologically 7 or 8, I ran away from an older brother calling for Dad. Later, the older brother asked me how come I never called for Mom, that I always called for Dad. In giving thought, I do not know, should I fully understand, for Mother was important to me. I drive us to a nearby hotel and use a phone to contact Pops. I am sure glad to hear him. I report the condition and ask him to send all mail to us, giving him the address for general delivery. Susan speaks with Pops for the first time. She seems happy and nervous at first. Pops shows concern, though he knows by now that I will make it. What he does not know is that there had been times when I did not. After conversing, we bid farewell and go back to the park. The resistance seems stronger. The rain is a drizzle, and we both are hungry enough to eat. As Susan prepares a dinner of sorts in a pole shed, I go to a primitive restroom where I add more clothes to what I already wear. Though the drizzle remains with a wind now and then, still everything seems okay. After dinner, I drive us around where we search for a place to spend the evening. I observe a vacant lot off a street that seems secluded with a couple of trees and buildings on both sides. Susan thinks it is okay, so I drive in where I find a secluded area. We lay the seat backs back, unroll the sleeping bags, put up a curtain around the windows, and conclude the day. It is time to die to everything of the day, the yesterdays, and awake to a brand new day. I will awake to a new day willingly. February 9th, on Sunday. Awake early and observe the rain has ceased. Though the sky is full of clouds that constantly rush into each other and exchange formations. Susan and I greet each other to the new day, then collect the self somewhat, dress, roll the sleeping bags, and remove the curtain from the windows. I start the engine and drive out onto the street. I drive until we come upon a filling station that is open. Driving in, park, and using toiletry items in their cold water, we make use of the restrooms, if that is what one wishes to call them. We return to Howard and study the atlas again for a place to camp other than Mount Lemmon or any mountain. Still, we are unable to locate any camp areas other than these mountains. I decide to drive along Santa Cruz River south in search of a place to camp by the river's edge. There is not any places that seems feasible. I drive onto I-10 southbound toward Green Valley via an Indian reservation. Green Valley is approximately 45 miles south of Tucson and a retirement community in its entirety with no place to camp. It seems we will camp at Madera Canyon on Mount Wrightson, elevation 9,543 feet. I stop at a filling station where I pay $3 of the $5 we have left for regular gas. Then I ask an employee how to arrive at Madera Canyon from here. The employee says, "I don't know how far it is to Madera Canyon, but I can give directions on how to get there." And after she gives directions, I thank her, get in Howard, and drive toward Madera Canyon. I come to a store where I stop, and Susan goes inside to see should we be on the correct road. The store has signs everywhere advertising everything a person may need to go camping, even firewood. Susan returns shortly, sits in Howard, and reports that we are on the correct road. We continue toward Madera Canyon, where we observe the road is a gradual incline. Howard begins to strain under the heavy load. Slowing down, I shift to third into second gear often, moving sometimes at 15 miles per hour, never exceeding 25 miles per hour. Seems as though Howard says, "I'm tough, I'll make it okay." The top of the mountain is white with snow and the sky is stormy. I continue to drive where we arrive at a sign on the right that reads, "Camp Roberts. What you bring in, take out with you." Reading a billboard, I learn there is no garbage refused, picnic tables or water, and the water from the streams is not safe to drink. I drive further up the mountain and stop at a sign that reads, "Bog Springs Camping." We turn on a road to Bog Springs and enter a snowstorm controlled by the tall pine trees. Once there, we observe what seems a good campground, like a state park. We circle, observe the campsites, then come to a billboard that reads $4 a day and $4 a night. Leave money in envelope. I drive a short distance farther and observe a small red box to put the envelope in, then a sign with big words painted on it, "Here is your camp host." I observe a trailer and a car with Ohio license plates. I stop Howard. A man comes out of the trailer immediately and walks over to us. He says, "Are you camping here today and tonight?" I say, "I wasn't aware there would be a fee." "Oh yes, we charge for everything here. Are you staying with us this evening?" "I didn't know there is a fee, so I don't think we will stay." Driving away, I entertain the thoughts, for any reason, why would I pay anyone to visit a natural habitat? It seems as though man has put a price on everything he is able to control. Perhaps offering a service, one may justify a fee on top of the tax that is collected for the same thing. However, it seems necessary to provide areas where services are not provided and without a fee. After all, it's said and done, man's natural habitat is everything he really is. I drive back to Camp Roberts, turn in, drive a short distance further, then observe a clearing where a white suburban van is parked and two men stand by a fire. They look at us and wave. I drive beside the van parked, then I turn off the engine. I get out, walk over and introduce myself. They tell me they are from Colorado and want to be in Tucson during the winter months. One person, Dan, has been working as a carpenter, and the other person, Steve, is along for the ride. Dan offers me a cup of coffee and says, "Stick around." I decline on the coffee and walk over to Howard. I tell Susan I'm going to talk to these people. She gets out of Howard and we walk over to the fire. The four of us exchange conversation, read each other's energies. Then I tell them Susan and I are going to walk around and look for a place to camp. We walk up a small, though steep hill and find an area by a large tree that seems perfect. We check out a few other areas as we jog to keep warm. Then we decide to camp underneath a large tree. We walk back to Howard and Dan walks over to us. I say, "We're going to camp at the top of the hill to the left and under the large tree. We will stop by later." Susan and I get in Howard and I drive up the hill. Barely we reach the top. The hill where vehicles travel has ruts from water rushing down to a stream, making travel difficult. I drive to the left by the large tree, stop, get out, and begin to clear space next to the tree for the tent. We pitch the tent. Susan places the bedding inside and I go look for wood. There is not too much wood laying around, and what I find is wet. Susan prepares dinner as snow begins to fall. Sometimes the snow falls heavy and sometimes it is light. I attempt to start a fire, though I am unsuccessful as the wood is wet. I go to the stream and fill a 5-gallon container with extremely cold water, then return to the camp. For dinner, we will have tomato soup, whole kernel corn, bread, and hot tea. As we begin to eat, the snow continues without mercy. I say, "So what? The weather is doing what it is doing, and tomorrow is another day." We eat with a company of snow and leave the dishes for tomorrow. Later, Steve comes by and says he has been hiking. He asks if we have any cards they can borrow. I say, "Yes, we do." I go inside Howard, get some cards, and hand them to Steve. He tells me they have some dry wood we can have to help start a fire. I thank him, and Susan and I walk back to the campsite with him. We step inside the van and observe much of the roof has been cut and replaced by plexiglass bubble. It seems Dan and Steve have been drinking beer and smoking grass, perhaps drinking a little whiskey too. They offer what they have to Susan and me. I say, "We do not indulge, though that is okay. Go ahead, we do not mind." I tell them of a radio talk show where I served as guest in Phoenix, Arizona, and ask if they wish to listen to it. I tell them we have to do some writing, but when we get through about 9 p.m., we'll come back, bring the guitar along, and play a few sounds. In leaving, Steve gives us some dry wood to take with us. Once back at the site, we sit inside Howard and write until 9:30 p.m. With the aid of a flashlight, we take the guitar, tape, and walk down to the van. We sit and observe that Dan and Steve are inebriated by now, though still in control of themselves. I play and sing a few songs and we talk about the futile society. I play the tape and we talk some more, sing a couple more songs, and then we decide better call it an evening. Dan and Steve thank us for allowing them to listen to the tape and for the guitar music. We bid them good night and walk up the hill to the campsite. After loosening the strings, I put the guitar in Howard. Susan and I crawl into the tent, bury themselves in the sleeping bag, and conclude the day. I would die to the yesterdays, awaking to a new day, getting up when I want to. That's it. That's 2 days. We will next time be starting with February 10th, Monday. And thanks, folks. Thanks for taking the time to listen. We really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoy the book. Next time, stay tuned.